So for me, getting the news this morning that we got the signed contract and we're ready to go for Wednesday felt like early Christmas. So we're super excited to get to play on Wednesday, and it kind of, and again, I'm still going to even knock on wood on that comment, but having that game at noon, I think, is a great time as well, because a lot of our recruits and people that we're looking at bringing in, and a lot of families don't have school that day. So I think that's probably an opening time where we won't compete with a lot of other teams. And I hope everybody tunes into the ACC network and online and watches us play.
With that, we'll open up for questions for Coach. Just raise your digital hand and we'll call on you. We'll start things off with Dan.
Hey, Coach, just getting to this point, and you mentioned the Christmas feeling, but to get the team round out into game shape and to get ready for that first game, what's the attitude been like for them, and how's the seriousness been to turn into a week where there's an actual game?
It's funny, you can almost feel the excitement level sort of change these last 4 or 5 days of practice, knowing that our game is right around the corner. And so for them, it's been exciting, and I thought they've been practicing hard since we got on campus, but sometimes there's always that lull when you're just doing a ton of practicing and you don't really know if there's going to be a game in sight. So having this last week to say, hey, 5 more days till we play, hey, 4 more days till we play, that has really helped rev them up, and you can tell their excited juices are flowing and they're ready to play.
We'll go next to Emma with the Heights.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing pretty well. So obviously, like you said, a lot of anticipation for the game on Wednesday, but you're sort of facing an unusual opponent. UNH is not, usually, obviously they're not in the conference, so they're not usually on the slate. How do you prepare for a team that you haven't really seen much of before?
Right. And I think even what makes UNH more unique is they have a new coach. They have different players. So for us, I think sometimes these kind of games are more about preparing us to the best of our ability. So it's maybe a little bit more about us, and then also knowing maybe in the past what UNH's tendencies were. And they have a couple key returning players that we're going to know a lot about them. But for the most part, they'll be probably a really different look because they have a new coach. But it was a coach that was an assistant coach, not on staff. So I think we're banking maybe a little bit on them not changing a lot of what they do. But for us, we're going to more so concentrate on doing the best and playing BC women's basketball to the best of our ability.
We'll go next to Bill.
I've got a couple, but the first would be, the fact that at most it looks like there's going to be 4 non-conference games this year. Does that change kind of the way that you would maybe experiment or tinker over these next 4 games, kind of knowing that you want to have your core rotation figured out by mid-December with conference games coming?
Yeah, and maybe more so not just like tinkering with lineups and things like that. It's more what we would put in up to this point. Like a lot of times you would save a lot of things because you have Christmas break and that time to work on things, and you want to keep some maybe offenses and schemes up your sleeve until conference starts. But we don't have very much time to really iron the kinks out. So it probably, for us, we probably put more things in right now leading up to this UNH game than we normally would have. And, as far as working out schemes, I think that's going to be, I hope with UNH, we're able to look at different lineups and play different people. So I think it should be an interesting and fun game.
I see the other hands up, so I'm just going to ask one more. Did the couple extra weeks of practice that you've ended up having, I know obviously you didn't have the summer, but the fact that the season's starting 2 weeks or so later, do you feel like that puts like JoJo and Kayla in position to be further along than your freshmen usually are at this point, or are they still making up for this missed summer?
Yeah, and I think that we've had some different scenarios with injuries and things like that have still kind of put us where we almost feel like we didn't really still get those couple weeks. Like it's just the way the progression works with having both COVID and COVID protocols on top of maybe some nagging injuries. I think that I personally am like, thank goodness we had those 2 extra weeks because it didn't really feel like having extra time.
We'll go next to Emma.
So you talked a little bit about this during media day, I think it was last week, about sort of a lot of different players stepping up into new roles that they didn't take on last year. Who are you looking to step up during this game to sort of settle the nerves and calm the anticipation during such a huge, like a big opener for you guys?
Yeah, I think that's going to be really on the junior class as a whole, to be honest, because they're all returning and a lot of them have 2 years of a lot of playing time. You know, you look at both Marnell, Michaela Dickens, and Taylor Soule. While they're only juniors, their playing time would equate for them to really be like seniors. So I look for those three to really calm everybody's nerves and play like veterans out there. And then that's going to allow players like Clara, who is a veteran in her own right, but doesn't have that playing experience, to really shine, I think, on the court. And then having Akuna and Kayla Ivey as freshmen coming in and really just doing some great things. So I look for those three to really calm the nerves and show through example how hard we need to play to be successful.
We'll go next to Dan.
Coach, I was looking up some numbers here, and UNH, the team that held opponents to only shooting about 40%, I think it said last year. What is it defensively that you have to kind of, or offensively for you, that you have to be aware of that they might do to throw some monkey wrenches into the scheme?
Yeah, I look for them, to play a little bit of 2-3 zone, which sometimes that's really hard to replicate in practice when it's not necessarily a defense that we play. And we have a group of scout guys who aren't very good at replicating a 2-3 zone because they really just want to play offense. So I think just being able to navigate through our zone offense and really look to attack a zone defense. And then also the way they guard on ball screens, they really changed it up depending on personnel from last year. And again, this is going to be a new coach, so she could throw in a 1-3-1 or something that I have never seen before. And that's the beauty of it being a first game with a new coach. So for us, I think we just have to make sure we control those controllables, which is really dominate the boards on both the offensive and the defensive end and push tempo.
We'll go next to Bill.
I was just wondering if you could expand a bit on like Clara's development, because I know that's something that you talked about last week at Media Day. And I think even from like when I talked to you a month ago compared to a Media Day, it seemed like she'd made a big jump forward. So what has she really improved on that makes you excited about what she's going to contribute this year? She's
really improved, technically on her balance, where she is more balanced just as a basketball player. She's able to get gritty in there with the rebounding. And then she's also able to make some counter moves and keep her footwork together. But what I'm really impressed with is her confidence. And she prepared hard and came in the best shape that she's been in for the last 3 years. So that, I always say, a big part of preparation and confidence is being in great shape. And she took care of that aspect while she was home through that COVID period. So on top of that, I think just her knowing the offense and having that knowledge and knowing that there's a void, right? She's had to battle and play against Emma for 2 straight years. And I think she's ready to step up and fill those shoes.